She'll start. Kia ora, everyone. When the world shut down in 2020, most of us were trying to make sense of bubbles, masks, lockdown routines. Rachel was also trying to make sense of things. In her case, she was making sense of teaching because she was just 1 month into her first year in the classroom. While many of us were struggling to pivot, she saw an opportunity and she stepped forward. Growing up with technology gave her an edge, but what really stood out wasn't just her digital fluency, it was also her empathy. She saw that the inequity that was playing out in real time, that students were falling behind due to the lack of tools or support for the teachers to navigate online learning. And that moment became her catalyst. She stepped forward, not just to better her own teaching, but to change the system. What followed was a deep dive into the digital and collaborative learning program here at Academy X, an experience that reshaped her mindset, her leadership, and her mission. Welcome, Rachel. I'm so excited to explore this all with you because you're truly exceptional.
Thank you. Thank you.
To start with, Rachel, take me back to the beginning. You started teaching in 2020. What was that first month like, and how did lockdown change things?
Well, I got my first class. I teach 5-year-olds, and I had a very small class to begin with, but it grew in that month. And then as the year went on, and I had no idea what I was doing those first few weeks. But it's a baptism by fire. You're in there, you're in the class, and it's your own class finally. And I loved it. And then I will just never forget the day where we went into lockdown. We were told, you're going to say goodbye to these kids and you won't see them tomorrow. You will see them online. And the parents slowly crept into the class and took their kids home. And then at 3 o'clock, it was, see you later.
Wow.
It was surreal. Yeah.
Surreal for every teacher, I imagine, but particularly so fresh into the classroom and feeling like you were getting your feet under the table, like the last thing you expected, I imagine.
Yes. Yeah. And it took until I think last year was my first full year teaching with no disruptions, because we had 3 and a bit years of lockdowns on and off. And then the next year there was flooding. So we closed for a bit. And then it wasn't until last year where there were no disruptions.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
crazy.
And talk me through the shift then to online. You had a class of 5-year-olds. How did that go for you?
It was a challenge. The first challenge was getting them online. They had to rely on their adult to get them online. And then once they were online, we were limited to what we could do. But a lot of it was connecting with each other, a smaller bit of academics, because we were keeping them happy. We were singing songs, we were dancing. I was making a fool of myself at home, but the kids were happy and they could participate in that way.
Yeah, the things we do for work, eh?
Yes.
That's not in the job description, but I think during that time, everybody's roles went outside of job descriptions.
Absolutely.
And your colleagues, the other teachers, like what support, well, for you as well, what support were you getting around online learning and to navigate this new type of classroom?
We were given lots of time to work it out. Okay. It wasn't like tomorrow you are online. We were given time to first work out what Zoom was, get it all up and running. And then we had our own Zooms as teachers to try and work out, how do you do a breakout room? What are you going to do? Are you just going to talk? Are you going to show things, share your screen? How to do that? And I could pick that up very quickly. It was
Hmm.
something it just came naturally. But some of my colleagues, we had to have multiple Zooms each day to for them to feel confident enough to take their class to do
Mm,
it, to
I
yeah,
can imagine.
to
Yeah.
teach.
Yeah, just to do the things they took for granted before, right?
Yeah, yeah. And
And
then yeah.
so looking at all of that, at what point did you start to see the I guess the insights around equity and access to education as the teachers navigated this new world?
Well, I noticed like something that would take me 10 minutes to do would take them hours.
Wow.
And then they would go, "Oh, do I have to do this every day? How do I make it so I'm not spending all day
Mm,
preparing for the next day?"
mm,
And then so we worked out that we could have our own Zoom sessions, and I would say, "Well, you can actually duplicate your slides and change what you want to change. You don't have to start from scratch every day." And so we kind of had our own little, I was teaching them how to do it.
wow.
And then they would, in return, once we got back to school, I would be able to go and observe them in person and see how they were teaching. So,
Right. That's a nice little barter system that you
yes, I knew how to teach online. They
Yes.
knew how to teach in person. So it was a bit of best of both
Yeah.
worlds.
Right. Okay. That sounds like a good match.
Yeah.
And then what made you decide to do the DCL program, our Digital Collaborative Learning program?
Well, it was to continue that learning what's out there,
Mm,
and then continuing to find ways to support myself and my colleagues in
mhm,
how we can better support the children.
mm,
There's so many things out there. I don't know what they all are, and the course has taught me so many different things. Just a little tool you can use to make planning quicker or communicating with a colleague you don't see every day.
mm.
How, this, yeah. And then, yeah, it's just to better to support the kids and my colleagues as well.
And when you were at the starting point, Rachel, like how would a teacher, without doing something like this program, how would a teacher normally go to get this type of upskilling around digital technology?
There's not many. A teacher would have to be proactive
Right.
themselves to do it. They would have to go, okay, I want to learn how to do it. Like some of my colleagues now, they come to me, they come to some of the other younger teachers and go, okay, I want to learn how to do this.
Mm.
Show me,
Yeah.
watch me,
Yeah.
and then let me do it by myself. And but if they're not proactive about it, they will sit there and spend hours doing it, or they will just give up.
True. Because often I think we spend hours doing something because we don't know that there's a quicker way or we don't have access to people who know how to do it. And it often might be the fact that the students themselves are able to do it more than the teacher can, right?
Absolutely. That's what we try and tell each other is don't be afraid to get the iPads out in class
Yeah.
or get the robots out and just give it to them. Just
Yes.
let them do it because they can do it better than we can.
Yeah. And actually, it's a role reversal, right? Where then they become the teachers saying, Here, miss, this is how this works.
And they love that. They love being able to go, look, this is what we can do. And you're like, wow, like
Yeah.
that's cool.
I think the thing that's standing out to me is that the time involved to do things that they didn't know how to do. Look, we all do it, right? We think the first time we learn it, it has to be this way. We don't look for the shortcuts automatically. And it's only from observing a peer in any workplace that you can see, oh, how'd you do that? Like we pick up on all these little hacks that some people have seen on Instagram, some people have done a program, some people just did it found out by accident, but it's rare that you get an opportunity to have all of that in one program or one training course even along the way.
Yes, and that was what was amazing about DCL is you are with all these different people from different areas. We had, I teach younger kids, and then there were people who taught all the years up until tertiary, and they all could come and say, "Well, I know how to do this. You know, let me show you." And they would show us, and then someone would go, "Oh, that's cool. Have you seen this one?" And you'd all
Mm,
bounce back and forth to each other, and just having that time. It was, you knew every week or every other week I'd have a Zoom, and
mm,
you will learn something new.
mm,
You have that dedicated time to learn,
mm.
to be exposed to it. It's fantastic.
At what point during the lockdown period did was it during lockdown you started digital collaborative learning, or was it after all of it had finished?
It was after. I've
Right.
only recently finished it,
Mhm.
and so now soon I'm moving on to my masters, onto the part 2 and 3.
Oh,
That's
awesome.
that's starting up soon.
Awesome. So actually, you came into it with the experience of learning as you were going, sharing those learnings with other teachers, but still hungry for what else is there? Like, what else could I be using in my role and sharing with the others in my school?
Yeah, because it's as much as I know how to do some things, there's so much I don't know. And being able to be exposed to it and yeah, find out what's new,
Hmm.
what's up and coming
Mm.
is awesome.
I like the sound as well that you were with teachers who taught other years. Like as a teacher, that you were exposed to challenges or opportunities that they had that maybe you didn't have with 5-year-olds, but just giving you that different perspective so early in your teaching career to think, oh yeah, sure, my age group, there's pros and cons, but also get exposed to the other ages.
Yeah, and it's so good to see the progression because I know where they start, but where are they going? And so the
Mm,
other teachers would say, well, after you've done this, they do this. And then they could also see, oh, well, if they don't teach this in, year 1 or 2, how are they going to do this at my age? So
wow, yes,
it
indeed.
goes both ways.
Yeah. And actually, it gives even more importance to the stuff that you're doing is this must be done well because it'll show up in year 4 or year 6 or wherever else.
Absolutely.
Fab. Wow. Okay. Anyway, these are all things that I hadn't appreciated of the value of a cohort when you get into a little community like that for the period of a program. And in terms of what you have brought back to your classroom, talk me through any of the changes that you've made as a result of things you've learned in DCL.
I think the biggest thing for me with the DCL is it wasn't always what can the students do? Because I always struggled, well, how can I get 5-year-olds on devices or using technology more without it being here's an iPad, sit down,
Yep.
do it. I think the great thing about the course is it opened me up to what can I do for myself? How can
Hmm.
I use technology to better help me be a better teacher for them?
Hmm.
And so,
Nice.
yeah, I think it's taught me different tools I can use to make my planning or my teaching more interesting for them or quicker, different, yeah.
Hmm.
So it's been a lot of what can I do as an educator, not necessarily what can the students do.
Great. And and what are the kind of things that you would now do differently compared to when you first became a teacher? Like, have you got any examples of where you're using technology in your to better your teaching, where previously it would have been a less digital way?
Well, one would be in my first 2 years, and it's always going to happen. You spend your whole weekend planning, getting ready for the week ahead, and now with just little tools, there's AI, which is so big, and there's so much, you have to be wary of, but also it can save you so much time. That just makes planning
Mm.
so much quicker. And yeah, you just like that. I use that to help me with my planning, to come up with, to go, I've got this idea, how could it better suit 5-year-olds or
Mm.
extend my capable kids? And yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
So actually, as a sounding board, almost like another teacher that you might
Yes,
ask that question to, but it's AI and it directs you to give you new ideas. How cool.
yes, yeah. And actually one thing we did last year was we had the kids come up with, we were studying technology, and we had them design their own vehicles. And then we used one of the, I can't remember the name of it, but one of the AI programs where it converts their ideas into images. And
Mm-hmm.
then we were able to bring their ideas to life and say, hey, look, you designed it, you described it, and this is what it looks like.
Oh,
And they loved it.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're right. Like if they're used to using technology as an entertainment source in their private lives, it's a very different lens that you're putting on it in the classroom, where it's technology for learning purposes, but also that interactive piece where it can take something from their head, like you at your weekend saying, I've got this idea, and actually it's bring it to life for me, help me move forward quickly so that I can use it in real life.
Yes. Yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
lovely. Awesome. Tell me your community and kind of the cohort that you had around you when you were studying at Academy X. You had your colleagues who were going on the same journey through the program. You had advisors. You had the caring community here at Academy X. What did they give you that maybe you didn't expect at the start?
Well, we all came together as a community, a community. We started off as, we didn't know each other. We were all individuals. And now I think we would all, if you saw each other out and about, you would know who each other is. You really get to know each other
Mm-hmm.
because you show up every week. It's very collaborative. Yeah. I think some of the best parts were those in-person days where we came into Academy X and we got to meet each other in person and just spend that time together. And everyone is so friendly, and willing. I guess because we're all there to learn, we're all there to benefit from each other. Everyone is friendly and they take the time to listen and offer their advice.
Mm. Great. And advice coming from lots of different perspectives, I guess, as well.
Yes, yeah.
Awesome. If it was another teacher considering this program and they were wondering if it was something that was for them, what would you say to them?
It's amazing that they're considering it,
Mm,
and like that's the first step. They want to learn something new,
mm.
and they shouldn't hesitate to do this course. It has just been like amazing. I exceptional.
Hey, that's my line.
It's a great one. But even this week, I think it must have been Monday, I got a message from one of my cohort members saying, I've signed up for the masters.
Ah,
And it was like, it just made my day. I was so excited to have someone else coming through
mm,
to the next part of the journey
yeah.
with
I,
me
I
that I,
Well, you'd both started from a similar place in doing DCL, and it's like that, if you had started your teaching role with another new teacher, you have that thing in common. It's a bond that you can't replicate with everyone else, but also going through the DCL experience, learning from each other and all of that, it's a connection that actually is lifelong, really.
yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Mm,
And the courses, they're so flexible they know that you're teaching, they know that life is busy and things come up. And everyone was so supportive throughout the course.
mm.
They said if you need a little bit of extra time because of life,
Yep.
that is available. You can have
Right.
that,
Yeah.
which is so nice. Not all universities are like that.
True. True. It's something that we really take pride and we honor a lot here at Academy X because everyone who walks through our doors is a working professional. So that's always front of mind for us is that it's, they've chosen to use their personal time to upskill themselves, but that, ultimately everybody's still got their day job that they need to prioritize.
Yeah.
Awesome. It sounds like an amazing experience, Rachel. And the fact that you signed up for a master's, well, that just shows how good it really has been. It's
Yeah.
like you're putting your feet putting your feet into something else that will continue that experience and exposure. If you were to use one word, and you can think about this for a minute if you like, one word to describe your DCL experience, what would that be?
I'd say fun.
Ah,
Yeah.
did you think it would be fun when you started out? Were you thinking,
No,
I'll do this, it'll be fun?
I don't think of study and university, the study part of university. I don't think of that being fun.
Mm,
But
mm,
each week the Zooms were fun. It wasn't like, oh, I have another Zoom.
yeah,
They were engaging, they were hands on, you know, hands on through a screen. It
yeah.
can be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was fun. It was, yeah, I guess
Great.
having great people in the cohort
Yeah.
makes it,
Wonderful.
yeah.
That's exactly what we love to hear. Um, what would be one thing you'd wish every educator would know about technology and equity? There is a line running through your experience and your story around, it's not fair that students miss out because teachers are spending so long to do things that they could do in less time. Um, if you were looking at people coming into, say, your shoes in 2020, they're starting their first teaching role. What's one thing you wish they would know around technology and equity?
Well, I guess it doesn't need to be scary.
Mm.
Give it a go, and don't be afraid to ask for help.
Mm. And actually, it sounds like it's within that teaching community at your school. That I love that idea of intergenerational, where teachers who've been more established, that they've actually not been exposed as much to the teachers who are newer in their careers. But that's the very thing where you can, like I said earlier, like barter. It's like, can I sit in on your classes? You show me how you do these things, and I'll help you with the technology. And then you've got a fair exchange of value for each other.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so important.
Well, Rachel, it's one thing to adapt in a crisis, but it's something else entirely to turn a moment into a movement, which I think is what it sounds like you've done yourself, at least for your school. You saw the system cracking, and then you chose at the point where it really mattered to become part of the fix. Um, it's just been a delight hearing how you've leaned into leadership and learning with your experience in DCL by signing up for more. Like not only was getting through the lockdowns enough, it was like, give me more. Maybe because you thought there was more to come, but also I think out of curiosity, right? That you see the value, what the students can get, what the teachers can get from using more of the tools in the classroom. Um, to me, your story reminds us of why the future of education belongs to people with hearts and guts and courage, vision to be able to step outside your comfort zone, admit you don't know things, and seek to find out more and learn new tools. We're really proud to have you as part of our community, Rachel, because actually you're just absolutely exceptional. So thank you for your time and best of luck with your masters.
Thank you.